welcome back to another episode of Trash Takes. I think we're in like the some upteenth episode at this point, probably 14. But I'm Coach. I'm here with Al, my co-host. He follows with Trash Takes 3. I wanted to say we were excited, but Al, I can't lie. I'm not that excited to be back. There's some unfortunate news, obviously, that everybody knows. And I'm still kind of sulking over, and that's my New York Knicks. Did not do what I said they would do in the last episode. They did not go on to win in 5. They did not go on to have that one game of Game 1 be the only pathetic performance of the series. In fact, they kept that theme outside of Game 2 through the entire series. Mostly Julius Randle, our best player. And they just embarrassed not only themselves, but us as a fan base. You know it as being a Yankee fan. You know it as me and a Jet fan, and maybe in a Giants match. You know that New York is the most passionate fan base. I don't care where you go. There you go. You're wearing it right on your shirt there. So, was that a Wilson shirt?
Yeah. My uncle got it for me.
So we're the most passionate fan base ever. So sometimes we go out there, we say some ridiculous things. Sometimes we go out there and we say some vulgar things. We get so high energy and we're cursing, we're chanting, we're packing out MSG, we're flooding the streets. We're doing a lot of things to show our passionate fandom, especially after the win of Game 2. But when that blows up in your face after those pathetic, I mean embarrassing performances by the team, but mostly our best players, it just hurts so much. It hurt me. It hurt to watch. But I wanted to wait to speak on it. You know what? I went to Twitter, obviously. I actually suffered 2 suspensions temporary throughout the series because I'm just the worst and I can't control myself. But you're not allowed to at certain players and say certain derogatory things. As soon as you click the tweet, you just get, boop, 12-hour suspension. So I have to calm that down a little bit and somehow make it through a Mets season. But I did want to take time to really fully evaluate the season. I know you weren't so entrenched in it, but you started to come around to it. And you can basically look at this about any of your teams if they kind of went through the same thing, meaning having a so crazy, overly overplaying, I should say, or outdoing your expectations of regular season, just to have that really embarrassing, I can't believe how you performed in the playoffs when you shouldn't have. We had expectations going in the playoffs to do much better, if not even beat Atlanta, and they weren't even competitive. So my thing was I want to take time because I didn't want that recent heartbreak to determine how I evaluated the season. It's a failure. Look at that pathetic nonsense they just put out there. Because come on now. I'm not kidding, I think there was a sub 1% chance of making the playoffs this year. We were supposed to win 22 games. That was the over-under, I'm sorry. It was the 22 games. We won over 40, and we're 4th seed in the East and hosted playoff games, So for me to turn around and say this is my determining factor of was this season a success or failure, no, that's not fair. It was a monumental success. Monumental success. I'm just bitter.
Yeah, no, of course. And I mean, everybody's going to say the exact same thing. Obviously, Game 1, they come out, they look good the whole game. They kind of just hung around, took a lead, and then, Trae Young broke our hearts. Game 2, they come back out. They do a similar thing, but they actually build on the lead in the third quarter. And then they turn that into a win, and suddenly we're like, yeah, you know what? A close Game 1 could have gone either way. Game 2, we win. We win one game in Atlanta, and we're right back in it. It's no big deal, right? But it turned into a really, utterly bad performance by the Knicks. Just really, really rough. Julius Randle in particular had a really rough series. Obviously, we saw after Game 1, looked pretty atrocious. And then just continued that throughout the series. It's pretty clear that they need an outside shooter to really compete, especially with the way the league is now, where, everybody's got one of those. Everybody's got a dead eye. You got Steph and Dame and Trae Young and all these guys. All the good teams have one of those guys that can hit from deep. Besides the Sixers, I guess.
Yeah, no, and they're going to see those struggles in this series with the Nets. With Atlanta.
Yeah,
themselves.
Speaking of that, we're talking about how it was rough that the Knicks lost to the Hawks. The Hawks took Game 1 today, so
now
they might be better than we thought.
Let me add in there though. Listen, I'm not saying the Hawks can't score, but my problem is what made this even worse is the Sixers are beat up right now. And whether it's multiple players or not, we know Joel Embiid is hurt. So going into that series, both teams of the Knicks and Atlanta, even though Atlanta was leading the series time, their eyes kind of lit up. It was like, wait, next round, we have a beaten down 76ers team that, yes, otherwise we think we get thrashed by. But if their best player and for about 3/4 of the season, MVP candidate before he got hurt, Joel Embiid's going to be hurt in this series, even playing hurt, you like your chances. So you so badly wanted to move on to the next round. So it compounded, made it worse that the Knicks played like absolute dog shit. Because you were like, you're missing on a golden opportunity to go even further in the playoffs. But all that aside, I mean, that's all circumstantial and stuff like that. That's kind of just piling on to the embarrassment that was. You said it yourself that they need an outside shooter. I totally agree, but I'm like trying to see what more, like, because it can't just be that. You can't look at this Knicks team, look what they did in the playoffs, and I know they had a great season, and Tibbs is a great coach, and we have good young players that are only going to get better. But I can't honestly sit back like, just get us a good perimeter shooter and we're good. We're going on a run. Like, no, like, we know we're not there. So is it perimeter shooter and then you continue to just add depth to the team in different areas but nothing of a superstar elite talent? Or is it straight up what really has been peddling, going forward, and Julius Randle cannot be your number one guy, and I'm not saying he's a bad player. It's just straight up he can't be your number one guy, and you just need that one other superstar, and everything else will fall into place. Because... And I'm going to let you answer, but I'm saying I've seen it from RJ Barrett that if he gets open more on the perimeter, the dude is great for shooting the three ball. Like, he is great shooting three balls if he can be open on the perimeter. Manuel quickly will just chuck threes from the low. He's starting to turn into a logo player. He'll just launch that shit, So he's got a little Trae Young in him if he starts to develop his game right and learn how to cheat the rules of the NBA and be a bitch. Maybe he could be Trae Young. So I think they have guys that when they're open can hit their threes. And how are you going to get these players open? You have better spacing. You have more attention on better players to have them open on the perimeter more often, right? So RJ Barrett can see some of these looks way more often. And that's going to happen by having maybe another major talent on the floor, running the floor, whatever. I don't know even the position. Is it point guard with Derrick Rose being the veteran and backing that up? Maybe. I'd love Dame Lillard on the team. Is it Kawhi Leonard? And I mean, everything changed. Kawhi Leonard could do a little bit of everything, and then you can run your manual quickly and Derrick Rose at the point guard. I don't know. And, I'll bounce it to you, but I don't know if only the perimeter shooter is the only thing we're looking for.
No, I like a lot of what you said there, but a lot of it ties into what I have ready for our favorite segment, Cash or Trash.
That's fair.
So let me just jump into it real quick. I'll start off. With my first question, Cash or Trash, this is the most talented era of baseball. I actually put best era of baseball, but I needed to clarify what I meant by best. This is the most talented era of baseball. We got guys hitting bombs every night. We're getting updates on all of our favorite players, Shohei Ohtani and Vlad Guerrero and Fernando Tatis and all these guys, Mike Trout. We have like what seems like an endless talent pool of players.
That is a very good one. And then when you say era, you mean like in the last 3 years and then moving forward?
Just, I mean, of recent memory. Like if you had some chunk of time where you're like, look at all these players that were playing at this, that were like at their best or playing at like a crazy level at this one time.
I don't hate what you're saying. I'm going to say trash is my first immediate reaction, just because baseball has been played for so long. I think the steroid era is something to look at. I think you could still consider it steroid era because they were still around. The early 2000s were fucking insane. If you want to look at top tier players, I mean, the Albert Pujols, Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez's, your entire Yankee team. You had great players, and then you have the pitchers of Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, like Maddox was still pitching early on, all those Brady pitchers in the 90s. I think it would be a little, King Felix into the mid 2000s. Sorry, but I don't know. I think maybe from their package that they bring, how many 5-tool candidate type players are out there where you're like, whoa, look at the talent possibilities from this guy. I think maybe that could be more cash. But when you start going, let's go break down the results of what actually ends up happening when these guys apply their talent to the results of baseball, I think we might have actually had some better eras. I'm not talking about runs per game. I'm just talking about what those guys can produce. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like we have seen some crazy eras in baseball before. And I'm not saying you're wrong. No, I'm going to take trash, but I'm not saying you're not on the right path here, and maybe in a year I change my mind.
Yeah, it just feels like every night I'm reading something and it's like, this guy did this, and it's like Tatis and Vlad Guerrero Jr., who, by the way, at the beginning of the season, I said he lost 40 pounds. Yeah. He's going to be a freak. Guy's hitting 330 with 18 home runs and 50 RBIs, and we're in, early June. He's on pace for a ridiculous season.
That's right.
So guys like him and Trout and Ohtani and Aaron Judge and Pete Alonso and just all these guys are just like just uber talented. Like it's just unbelievable. Like the amount of talent they bring to the field every day, and we're watching all of them play. Yeah, Soto and everybody on the Dodgers, and you're watching all these players play at the same time, and it's just nuts.
Yeah.
I'll
go trash, but you might be onto something.
That's fair. So that was my only baseball one for the week. But I'm going to kick it over, obviously, today. As everybody knows, hottest news of the day. This just in, Adam Schefter tweeted. Julio Jones traded to the Titans. We've been waiting for it and waiting on it. He didn't want to be there, and then he wanted to be there, and then he asked for a trade 6 months ago. Nobody knows what's going on. He's definitely leaving. He's not leaving. He's a Titan now. So, cash or trash, the Titans are contenders with Julio.
The same one. So I'm going to count. Don't answer. I'm going to kick it back to you as well. Yeah, cash for me. I believe they're contenders. Am I going to go out to say, they're better than the Chiefs? They're better than this guy? No, I'm not going to say. But you don't.
Particular to how I worded it. Contenders versus
they're contenders. They are 100% contenders. You could have made the argument they were already contenders in the last 2 seasons. You had Julio Jones replacing Corey Davis on that offense. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're contenders. I mean, you're going to start to see not only the dynamic offense that they run already with the best running back in football, the powerhouse, he's unstoppable, he's great, but now Ryan Tannehill has so much more afforded to him with what Julio Jones is going to warrant on the field, not just from his own talent, but what the attention he's going to bring from defenses. So I think you get so much more creative with that way. Cash for me. Don't answer. You'll get yours in a minute.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, obviously, we're in that time of year. Basketball playoffs are here, so the rest of everything is just, it's all basketball. I didn't have this put in any order, but I feel like I need to at least put them in some order. So I'll start with the cash or trash. The Nets should be scared without James Harden. Obviously, Harden is out for Game 2. He's got a hamstring injury. They don't know how long he's going to be out. They don't know if he'll be back for the playoffs. They looked. Did you watch that series at all? The Nets.
No.
They were dominant. They didn't. They were scoring at will. It looked like.
Yeah, no. And
but that being said, obviously James Harden is an MVP caliber player. So without him, what do you think that team does? Cash or trash? The Nets should be scared without Harden.
It's cash. All right, scared is like a crazy word. All right, the fear is risen, but by no means are they this handicapped team now. So cash, because what once was going to be a cakewalk, oh man, you have no excuse not to lose, now becomes, okay, you still have 2 unbelievable superstars, or a star and superstar, in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and some good shooting role players. You absolutely can still go on a run, and we all thought that the Nets were championship contenders before the Harden trade happened. We already thought, like, if you remember back, like, everyone was still on the Nets, our championship favorites bandwagon. We thought it was going to be Lakers Nets, right?
I mean, they still had Karis LeVert and, like, all those guys.
Exactly.
All the guys that they sent for Harden were still good players.
So, yes, scared without him because we saw what he actually meant to their offense, but by no means did they just become, like, underdogs, right? So, cash on it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. They're a spooky team, bro. Kevin Durant is in prime form. I don't know if you. I mean, you said you didn't watch a lot of that series. Every time I looked up from whatever I was doing to watch the game, Kevin Durant was draining a 3. It was. I mean.
Yeah, he's
filthy.
We've never seen anything like him in our lifetimes.
All right, so
before him.
For my 4th one, this wasn't actually on my list, but I think the other 2 that are on my list, I can kind of combine into one. And you kind of touched on it before, but this is one that I'm kind of making up on the spot. Obviously, Lakers, Dunzo. The Suns
Done.
came out, smoked them. Devin Booker was draining them. Man was on a mission. Chris Paul, dimes. Couldn't. They were just nobody was touching them, bro. AD with the groin. That man just he's broken. So at this point, LeBron, he's an old man. He still got it, obviously. You don't go from by far the best player in the league to garbage overnight. He's still a good player. But I saw this a couple times already, and it's not just he'll never win a championship again. But LeBron, cash or trash, LeBron cannot be the main piece.
Cash. I've been saying it since beforehand, and one of mine is going to support this one, or maybe ask you if you can see on the right path here. I don't want to use last year as an example. I think it's garbo, or I should say it's trash. Not just for basketball, for multiple leagues. But no, I don't think he can be. And honestly, I've been making, as a LeBron hater, I've been making the argument that he couldn't be for a while. Or shouldn't say not main, but he certainly always needed a 1A. In my opinion, I always thought that Anthony Davis was the much more important piece to that team since day one. It kind of showed itself where, without AD, they reverted right back to the 2018 Lakers that missed the playoffs with just LeBron James. And with AD, they were the reigning NBA championships. Whether you want to give the validity to that season or not, that's how good they were. Yeah, so I'm going to say cash. And if you even wanted to sprinkle in, will he ever win? Like LeBron will never win one again? Cash to that too, but that's just me adding that in.
I just can't agree with that part of it, because I mean he could easily just go to the Nets next year and be like, LeBron, KD, Kyrie, who else? James Harden, bring in prime Michael Jordan, put him in the
Warriors.
Fucking
Steph and LeBron and all that. Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Now my last two, I'm gonna combine into one because I think it's something that you touched on, and something that I had obviously thought about previously. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the question ready. The Knicks need to make a splash in free agency. First part, cash or trash. They need to.
Yeah, that's cash. That's
Okay.
That's gold, cash, money, bags and bags of cash.
All right, so I'm gonna stop you there. And now the other portion of it is Dame needs to leave Portland.
I like the mix of the two.
Very likely, right? Knicks is a solid destination. Yeah?
Yeah. It's cash. The unfortunate part about it is I don't think there's a valid trade scenario that I'm going to be okay with as a fan. And RJ Barrett's my favorite player on this team. I have his jersey. I don't own jerseys. I own one jersey. And it's RJ Barrett. And I don't see a trade scenario. I really don't. That doesn't involve an RJ Barrett. And which means I don't see the Knicks being interested, because I'm not saying RJ Barrett's Dame Lillard, but what I'm trying to say, where you get so much better with Dame Lillard, you certainly knock yourself down a peg, especially in a developing but already good RJ Barrett, who is a good two-way player. He can play the most minutes in the NBA. Well, him and Julius Randle play the most minutes in the NBA. And was a crucial reason why we were winning games, him and Julius. So if you go up with Dame on a really big level, but then down by losing a two-way player like that, and then you have to fill that position maybe with a role player, or if you try to look elsewhere, I don't like the results, and I don't think that's the move to make. You have to build moving forward, keeping the reason why you were impressive to begin with. You know what I mean? It's not just mortgage it all. I know the Nets did, but unless you're going to get three ultimate superstars,
I was going to say the Nets already had KD and Kyrie.
Unless you're going to break the league and get three, we're talking about one here. So, it's cash. Everything would work out. If there's a way to make it work out where it's like dude, I hate any trade scenario. I'm such a homer, gets attached to players. But if there's any trade that can maybe be like an Obi Toppin, who now looks like the guy that we drafted in the playoff, he looked good. But it could be an Obi Toppin, 3 picks. You can give him all those picks that we got. That's fine. I don't know. I can't even utter the words. Like maybe Mitchell Robinson, and like I would really be upset. You know,
dude, I know.
We were doing that, I'd be really upset. But it you can't get upset like these things, which whatever. It's tough. It's tough for me to formulate a trade. But then again, if a guy wants out, which Dame has never said that.
That's
We
the
are
crazy
saying
thing to
it.
me
Dame
is
has never said that.
I know he said he loves Portland. That's the crazy thing to me is
so
that he's like
fucking weird.
he constantly says he wants to stay there. He wants to play his whole career in Portland, and it's like
Yeah.
they're a small market team. They don't give him any help because they can't afford it, and it's like, does he really like how attached is he actually? If this is what he's saying. Like, if the Lakers were to call tomorrow and they're like, hey, we're gonna send you like KCP and every piece that isn't LeBron and AD, and we want Dame and a bunch of future picks, right? Like, is he gonna be like, nah, fuck that, I don't want to go play in the biggest market in the planet for like the most prestigious basketball team in the NBA with one of the best players to ever play the game? Like, do you think he's gonna say no to that?
No, you want me to give you an example of the exact scenario that it would be? It's Russell Westbrook. They're very, very similar. Russ, I know early on had the talent on the team, but towards the end, it was Russ and co. And Russ swore he signed his contract.
But I think the difference is KD left, right? KD left, and it left a bad taste in Russ's mouth, and he wanted to like prove to KD that like, yo, I'm gonna beat your ass still in OKC.
Well, it is. It is. You want to beat his ass, but not only beat his ass. He was like, "Yo, I'm going to show you that you don't leave your city like that," and that's why Russ was doing. But then it was year after year of Russ really not getting the help. Besides Paul George, they had a good run there, but Russ didn't make the decision to leave. Right? The OKC Thunder traded him, and he understood. Like he didn't sit there and throw a tantrum. He said, "You know what? I understand what's going on. This ain't working anymore. I don't want to leave. If you gave me the choice, I'd say no, but I understand what's going on here." And he went to the Rockets. It would be the same thing with Dame, I think. It would be year after year of him saying, I'm loyal to this place. I want to stay here, blah, blah, blah. But after a while, if you keep having these exits and stuff like that, and it keeps going like this, there will be a conversation saying, Dame, it's best for both parties. I know if we gave you the choice, you'd stay. Maybe you'd sign an extension, obviously for millions. But we're shipping you to New York. And you'd say, I understand. That's what would end up happening. So it'd be a very Russell Westbrook type area.
All right, that's fair.
Those are good ones. Those are good.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty solid ones.
Pretty solid. I have a few for you. Some are similar to yours. A lot heavy predicated over the Julio Jones thing. Yeah. But I took my glasses off so I can hardly see. It was a pool day today. You can see from the hair. But I got you.
Scorcher today, bro. It was like 95 up here, 1,200% humidity.
Yeah. I had to be out there. So same thing to you. You got my take. I need your take, and let's see if it's a trash take. Titans legit challengers in the AFC.
Of course they are. I think I thought their defense was good, right? I think all of us were in the same boat. We were like, Titans, good defensive team. What were they, 9-7 when they made that run in the playoffs 2 years ago? Yeah. They were like 9-7, then they just steamrolled two teams. Yeah, they were like a wild card team in the AFC South, and it was like predicated on their defense. Like they were a defensive team. It was ground and pound, like 2008 New York Jets style. Like Derrick Henry was going to run you over, and they were going to play good defense. And then last year they kind of fell away from that. And, oh my God!
Well,
what
they didn't fall away from it offensively.
Yeah. No, their defense was just bad. I mean, I guess they kind of fell away from Derrick Henry because it felt like Ryan Tannehill was throwing the ball more, but he still had.
Yeah, but he led the league again.
Yeah, he's just gross. He's just, I mean, there's no amount of touches you could take away from Derrick Henry that's going to matter because he'll just make it up by steamrolling six guys and turning a 5-yard gain into a 50-yard gain because he's a mammoth human being. But yeah, no, they're very clearly contenders because that offense is going to put up 35 a game. Like it's the Chiefs. They are the Chiefs with a less strong-armed quarterback.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I mean, no real like Tyreek Hill level weapon like that kind of speed. But I mean, Julio's still got all the tools. He's slowed down a little bit, but he's still a freak. I am completely blanking on the other receiver on the Titans, and I need AJ Brown. There we go. I had Brown. I had Brown for so long, and AJ was not coming to me. AJ Brown is also a mutant, so the two of them are going to be a problem. And then, you also can't just drop 7 into coverage because Derrick Henry is going to steamroll your whole team. So that offense is going to score an obscene amount of points. I don't even know who's on their offensive line. I don't think it matters because they're just that awesome, ridiculous.
They might have lost somebody.
They have
But
Taylor Lewan there, right?
yeah. But the bottom line is you and I are both in the same boat. It's
Yeah.
cash on that.
That team's
It's
scary.
cash.
I think Vrabel probably figures out the defense, gets it a little bit back towards its past form,
I hate
and
his face.
yeah, they're scary.
Kind of tipping off the same thing. Matt Ryan gets exposed this season.
That's
Cash or trash?
trash, brother. I think Matt Ryan has always been good, will always be good. Is he going to decline this year? Of course, you're losing Julio Jones. Is he going to fall off a cliff? I don't think so. You don't see that with quarterbacks too much anymore, not at his age. It's like we've moved the goalpost back, right? Now quarterbacks, 42, 43. Tom Brady is, it's turning 55 next year. Guy's still playing football at an elite level. They said I just heard something. The Bucs said he was hurt like the whole year. His knee was fucked.
Yeah. Me too.
So quarterbacks don't fall off as early as they used to. This is normally the time where we'd be like, oh yeah, any year now, and Matt Ryan's gonna fall off a cliff. He's still got Calvin Ridley, who is very good. Kyle Pitts is expected to come into the league and catch at least 150 passes this season. So like,
crazy stat.
So dude, that team is still really scary. It's not like you lose Julio and there's no weapons around him. It's he loses Julio and he's still got what would be a wide receiver one on 15 or 16 other teams. Like he's a top 20 wide receiver in Calvin Ridley, and he's got a Kyle Pitts coming in as well. Like that team has the pieces there. He's not going to go out there and have a Jameis Winston season and throw 30 interceptions. Like he's going to be good. The Falcons might be garbage, which I wouldn't be surprised. They tend to score a lot of points and lose games.
But listen. My cash or trash is not predicated on age. It's not anything like that. I'm saying that.
Said Matt Ryan's going to get exposed.
Well, what have we been saying for years? Even with, and I'm going to move on to my next one in a second, but even with Julio Jones, when he wouldn't put up the stats, we all knew in our brains, we know Julio Jones' impact was way bigger than whether he was actually catching the ball or not, or getting targets or not. We'd sit here saying he wasn't getting red zone targets, but most likely because they were doubling him and leaving an Austin Hooper open, or Calvin Ridley. Literally, I know plenty of Calvin Ridley's plays, even in his rookie year, where his guy was just doing jumping jacks in the end zone because everybody else had other assignments to worry about. So, I'm talking about that part that we're going to see live on the field to see the absence of Julio Jones and how much it affects everybody in the field. It's not about the actual talent.
Well, your exact words were Matt Ryan is going to get exposed this year.
Yes, I'm saying it's getting exposed by not having Julio Jones, the benefit of having Julio Jones on that field all the time. I think it's going to be real. But listen, you say it's trash.
I think Calvin Ridley has a season and a half this year, brother.
Okay. I think he's been having his seasons because of Julio, but we'll see. So this third one's still going with this one, and this has been like a common theme. Giants, the best wide receiver trade return ever. And by ever, I mean in the recent 3 years. Yeah. But, cash or trash.
Wait, am I losing my mind here?
I'll let you know, Odell Beckham was traded for a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and Jabril Peppers, who turned out to be one of our better defensive players this year. Considering that what DeAndre Hopkins been traded for.
What did they turn the picks into?
The third-round pick. Well, the first-round pick was Dexter Lawrence, I believe, and the third-round pick. That's a good question. Third-round pick. That year.
Some probably steady starter who's never going to make a huge difference, but's going to be a Giants homer kind of guy, right? That's usually the talent you get in the third round.
It could be accurate there.
All right, yeah, we're going to say that. So just remind me again, what exactly is the phrasing of this question?
The Giants had what is the phrasing? Giants had the best wide receiver trade return ever. And by ever, I mean in recent years.
In recent years, absolutely. Ever,
David Gettleman, the Gettle God.
I'm sure there's some trade out there where somebody mortgaged their entire franchise for a wide receiver.
But we would know that. That would click off in your head right now if you knew it. How would we not remember? How would we not remember that wide receiver trade went through for like
all right, no,
crazy amount of firsts?
The two that I was thinking of was Herschel Walker and Ricky Williams, but neither one.
Yes,
of
that
those
was back, and that was 4 first rounders.
Nah, so I recently because I can't think of another one. Yeah, sure, go ahead. I mean, obviously they got the Jabril Peppers and a first. And I mean, what did the Texans get? What did the Texans get for Hopkins? Like a second, right, or some
a second and a fourth or something.
And now I think the package this time was Julio and a sixth for a second and a fourth, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's just I mean, Julio's also older, so that's more acceptable. The DeAndre Hopkins trade was despicable.
Despicable.
So, yeah. To be fair, I also think that Odell has a monster season this year. Like, I'm really counting on Odell to bring it back. Whether or not that, I mean, that doesn't really bring down the trade value that they got. They got a lot
because you're also not considering that we dumped $95 million worth of contract dollars off of our...
No, So, in terms of just pure value that they got in the trade, that's definitely cash. Whether or not it's of all time, like I said, I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head another trade where somebody was like,
I should have said last few years. Yeah,
no, but that's fair. Like I said, I think Bill O'Brien's an idiot. I think the Julio Jones trade was, right in the right ballpark. He's an older player.
I said that, yeah.
He's an older player. The Falcons don't really, they don't look like a contender anytime soon.
All right.
So makes sense.
Enough about Julio Jones changing every fabric of reality in the NFL and getting so much of our attention. I'm going to bring it over to you. This is controversial, and I love it. Garrett Cole's recent struggles are due to not using sticky substances on his pitches. No mo. Cash or trash?
Yeah, it's probably cash. I've said it before. I'm sure I'm pretty confident that like 90% of the pitchers are cheating. So I mean, it just is what it is. There was somebody else came out with something recently, and it was not even from this era, but it was Pedro Martinez. Pedro Martinez mentioned something about like how pitchers who had jerry curls had an advantage because, if your pitches weren't moving, you just, rub your hair and then all of a sudden, your pitches gain spin rate and all this stuff. So, like, he acknowledged the fact that people were doing stuff like that in his era, like, 15, 20 years ago.
His era was cheating big time in many ways.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but, I mean, so obviously, we've had, who's the one on the Dodgers that I can't think of?
Trevor Bauer,
yeah. Obviously, Trevor Bauer has basically acknowledged it and said himself, I'm going to cheat, and then was instantly a better pitcher in the next season and is now like a Cy Young caliber pitcher out of nowhere. So, I mean, and, Garrett Cole went to the cheating Astros and was immediately better. So, I mean, in terms of just Garrett Cole, I'm sure it's also probably about 90% of the other pitchers, and we just, some of them are just garbage.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. They're still giving up runs because they're just bad. But the good ones become, like, elite caliber, like, 2 ERA gods.
Cheaters.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to hear you say it. I'm glad you got the response on that. All right, and the next one. This one because I touched on it before, but it's not just for basketball. Can we disregard pretty much all results? No, I'm sorry. Let me get with can we? We can disregard pretty much all results and stats from last year's seasons for both basketball and baseball. Cash or trash?
That's trash.
Trash. Wow.
Yeah. Why?
Mickey Mouse rings, dude. Mouse rings.
So, all right. So you want to say like, oh, if LeBron and AD had played another 40 games, they would have got hurt. They wouldn't have won the ring. Whatever. Cool. Yeah. Go ahead.
We literally watched it happen this year.
Yeah. No. And I understand that. But in both sports, you're telling me that those results meant nothing. The Dodgers are still an elite team. The Rays are in first place in the AL East. The Yankees are a little bit behind them in the same spot. Like, the placing of the teams is very similar. The Padres got much better. The Jays are a much better team. We figured that was going to come out and happen. Like, it's not like any of the results from last season are just completely out the window, and it's like, this team that wasn't really trying in the 60-game season is now from fourth to first, and all these teams that were good last year are just bad this year, and it was the 60-game season just ruined everything. Like, the majority of the teams that were good last year are still good this year. Marlins. So it's not... Yeah, fuck the Marlins. They're stupid. Nobody knows what they're doing. But
Marlins won our division and beat the Cubs in the playoffs. And listen, not to just use them as the only example.
So we could disregard stupid shit like the Marlins. But you said disregard the entire season, and I'm sitting here looking and like, we had the Rays and the Dodgers in the World Series last year, and the Rays are currently in first place, and they are like untouchable, and the Dodgers are only in third place because the other two teams in their division are just obscene. Like the Giants are like 18 games over 500 or some bullshit.
I'm just saying.
They're third place. The Dodgers are in third place. They're also in third place in the whole MLB because the only two teams that are better than them are also in their division.
They'd be leading my division right now. But
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
All that aside, but even the stats and the guy that glares out there.
And in the NBA, listen, like it's the same thing. Like if AD stayed healthy, the Lakers have a much better chance of winning that series. There's no question. We knew what the Nets were going to be, so it's not like we were. It's the only reason the Nets weren't good last year is because both of their players had fucking torn ACLs. Like you got back two MVP caliber players, and wow, shocker, you're better. Like it's not like we didn't see that coming because of the 60-game season threw us all off.
What about the Miami Heat? What about the Miami Heat?
What do you mean the Miami Heat?
They were in the finals last year as a 5th seed, and this year both them and
they started out the season hot as fuck, and then they cooled down. They lost something, and now and then they were very clearly not the same team towards the end of the season. And then shocker, Giannis put up 60 points a game against them, and then fucking swept them out of the universe.
Well, that was a revenge series. All I'm trying to say is both finals teams were first-round bounces the following year. I'm not even saying. I don't even know if that's very uncommon. Coming to my brain, coming to my mind, I don't know the last time that's happened.
They were also. It's not like. All right, so in that capacity, like kind of. All right, cool. They both got bounced in the first round, but at the same time, they're both still playoff teams, and all of the teams that were good last year are still good this year. It's a very similar like group of teams that are in that playoff. What?
It's literally the same besides Knicks.
Yeah.
And Atlanta. No, Atlanta. No,
so
Knicks and Atlanta.
All I'm hearing is that the Knicks should have won the chip last year.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know how else you can take it, but that's pretty much what I was trying to get at.
All right, makes sense.
For me, it's Mickey Mouse. All right, you want to hone in on an individual player? You want to know a player screams? Listen, we had players on our team that I said, hey, this is not them. Pete Alonso, that was not him his last season. So I'm sitting there saying, this is not fair to break him down. There was other guys on the team that this is not fair to evaluate them. I don't think Luke Voigt was the masher basher of the universe that he really is. I don't think he would have finished as the leader in home runs that year. Here's what I will say. Want to know who was a prime example?
Who?
JD Martinez.
Isn't he still raking?
Yeah, JD Martinez was middle of the road, mediocre bum last year.
I don't know.
Who couldn't even hit with a.
The Red Sox were so bad last year, I just didn't care.
Yeah, and they hit so much too. But now JD is back to being like a Triple Crown candidate. He's smashing the ball all over the place, and he says, "Hey, ain't no more Mickey Mouse season. I'm back," and that's what happened. Listen, you can't just hone in on one guy's performance and use my example. I get it. All I'm trying to say is every month now with these sports, I'm starting to see it.
Read it back. How did you word that? Because the way
said we could disregard. I literally said we could disregard all stats and results.
All 95% of it is exactly the same and exactly as expected from last season. We expected these teams to be good. Me and you at the beginning of the season said the Rays would probably regress because that's usually what the Rays do. But I guess they're here to stay. But that was a prediction that we made based on watching the Rays be good for a year or two and then fall off for 6 years over the course of the last cheating. 25 years. Yeah, they're all cheating.
Let me jump in. I think they're cheating.
Yeah, Glasnow is definitely a cheater. Fuck that guy. Stop being good.
They traded Blake Snell, and all of us on planet Earth are saying,
"Where did he go? San Diego?
You have to be kidding me!" What?
Where did he go?
He went to San Diego.
Thought so. Okay.
We just played him, and he had his best start, of course, in 3 years.
Yeah, he was a problem.
They traded Blake Snell. Dude, the guy was their best pitcher, second best behind Glasnow at that moment. And guess what? The guy's sporting a 6 ERA right now, or maybe sub 6, just sub 6. I'm like, what do they know? Like, I don't understand when they get to a certain point and say, this guy's going to be a trash can now. When they got rid of Longoria and let him walk, now Longoria had a better season.
Longoria was old.
He was 30. He's not old. He's not 35. He's old. He was 30 when he left. Yeah.
I don't know.
They didn't trade him. His contract came up. And they were like, bye-bye, Longo. Our franchise. Goodbye. And somehow they knew this guy was going to be a shell of himself. I'm like, where the hell did you guys know?
To be fair, they also just don't have any money, so they couldn't really just give Evan Longoria a massive contract and be like, yeah, here, you, and then pick your favorite 8 fans in the stands, and those will be the guys around you. Like, that would have been their option.
But Al, you remember the lucrative deal when Blake Snell got paid a few years ago after his Cy Young year? He got stolen. They stole him.
Yeah.
So he's actually on a good team-friendly deal, and they traded him, and all of a sudden this guy declined like crazy. I'm saying, what is in the water in Tampa Bay that these pitchers...
It's weird.
Chris Archer is another... Remember Chris Archer?
Oh, my God, bro.
What is going on?
Chris Archer should be remembered for how ridiculous he was in Tampa Bay, but instead will be remembered as the guy the guy that's on the Yankees now. The one we were talking about. Pimps home runs real nice. Derek Dietrich. He's going to be remembered for the Derek Dietrich rivalry with the fucking Reds.
Dude, I'm like, all right, so you guys dumped Chris Archer, who looked like a stud. All our teams in the league were like, oh, they got to go after that guy. Remember, even the Yankees wanted him. Like, fuck it, take Chris Archer. They get rid of him. This guy's the worst pitcher I've ever seen. Blake Snell. He's dope. Great contract. Won a Cy Young. He's one of the better lefties in the game. Get off our team, bum. And they pull him in the World Series after 5 innings, literally hand the World Series to the Dodgers. And they trade his ass as if it was his fault. And what happened? 6 ERA. So I'm like, what is going on with this team? They not only get great prospects that become just awesome players on their team, but then they make sure that these guys die the second they walk off with Tampa Bay.
So Blake Snell had, realistically, he had one good year. He had a 1.89 with 21 wins that 1 year. The next season he came back and he threw a 4.29 ERA. Then there was last season where he had a 3.24 in the shortened season. And then this year he went back up to like a 4.8. So he wasn't actually as good as we remember.
He's higher than that.
I think Chris Archer's numbers will actually be worse. No, that's his current ERA. I think you're just dumb.
Oh, then he did. That's because he threw almost a shutout against the Mets.
Yeah, so that's far right. I think Chris Archer's numbers are probably going to be worse because I remember Chris Archer as being just dominant.
He had like a 5 ERA his first year out.
For like 3 or 4 years. I remember him being just gross. What is this shit? Oh my God. This pitching thing has him from the time he was pitching in 2006 as a 17-year-old. I don't care about his numbers for fucking Tennessee.
You just use Baseball Reference.
That's what I'm on!
Oh.
It pulls up all his stats from the time he was 17.
So we know what it is. He threw a 5 ERA in like 2016.
Wait, is this like minor league? What the fuck is this shit?
Jesus. You're killing me.
It is. Why is the first Baseball Referencing his minor league stats? Nobody gives a fuck about that.
You're killing me.
Listen, man. Yeah. 4.6, 3.22, 3.33, 3.23, 4.02, 4.07, 4.31. Maybe he wasn't as good as we remember either. Maybe the Rays just make players look good, and then they're like, yeah, here, take them. And everybody thinks they're getting a steal, because, like, he pitched, they played kind of well for the Rays, and they're not actually, like, fantastic. They're just, like, the best player on a bad team, and then the Rays just get all the money for him. Big brain.
I mean, it's weird. I still think they might be cheating. I just can't, like, I don't get it. I can't get over how well, and I'll knock on wood and all that. I don't get why we are still in first. I don't get why we're winning games. I love the fight from all these players that are stepping in with all these injuries. You know, the guys that we have on the IL, and sometimes we have people going back on the IL and stuff like that. The guys that are stepping up on the Mets are just incredible. It's been so much fun to watch because you're finding a new guy be that hero that day. We made such clutch trades to guys. Billy McKinney that we picked up, I think, from I'm going to say Brewers, which is probably inaccurate. And this guy came on and with very little, good success prior, but he was a good prospect. Now he's ripping the cover off the ball. Fantastic. I love what he's doing. Brandon Drury, your boy, he's coming back with no migraines, and he's playing great baseball.
He was good when he could actually, open his eyes.
And hear. Yeah. We split the series with San Diego, and we actually gifted them one that they should not have won game one. They just literally – what I saw from them is the Mets are a better team than the San Diego Padres. I'm not kidding. I'd put my money on that any day of the week. We played them with the B squad, and we split the series. I'll take this another step further. If you ever need to remind yourself, if you ever need to say, you know what, I know we say it all the time. I know Jacob deGrom's the best pitcher in the world. Jacob deGrom's probably the best pitcher of this generation. Jacob deGrom might be the best pitcher of all time. I won't argue against all of them. But if you ever need a prime example, like a highlight reel, don't type in highlight reel. Go get the recording. Go back and get the recording of last night's game against the Padres. So that would be, squinting here, June 5th of 2021. It's a 10 o'clock game Eastern. And just record the 7 innings that he pitched. And you will have the prime examples from inning 1 to inning 7 why Jacob deGrom is the best pitcher you have ever laid your eyes on. Yeah. Holy mackerel. What I was watching him do was ridiculous.
It's disgusting. He's not fair. Yeah. No, it's obscene, the shit that he's doing. And then on the other side of town, we can't win a fucking game. So, I don't know what the fuck's going on, dude. We can't hit. We can't pitch. We're back to the start of the season where we were like 7 games under 500. Obviously, we're not 7 games under 500, but that's what we've been playing the last 2 weeks. Fucking, who knows? I'm sure next week we'll probably win 7 games in a row or some shit. Like fucking, who knows?
That happened last time.
I don't know what we're doing. Garrett Cole threw like three innings of like 7-run baseball or some shit. Like just nothing. Just nothing's working. You know what we need? We need an entire all prospects I've been listening to, I've been hearing about for the last 12 years in the minor leagues. That kid that we recruited from wherever when he was 7 years old, like bring him up. Just do it. At this point, just fuck it. I'm just over it. I keep hearing about him. Everybody on Yankees Twitter is like, we got Jason Dominguez. He's 19 years old. Give me that guy. Give me him. Give me this guy. Clark Schmidt. Give me that guy. It's just like, oh my god, God. Either start winning like you're supposed to, or get replaced. Like at this point, I'm just over.
Listen. That brings
Aaron
you back.
Hicks is dead. Carlos Stanton's, I don't know. He's doing anymore.
He's got to still be hurt.
He probably got rushed back. Aaron Judge is, doing what Aaron Judge does. Yeah, he's good at baseball for sure.
Yeah, listen.
We don't know what's going on. A catcher, Gio Urshela, has now become like the best player on the team. Don't know how that happened. He was a fucking journeyman third baseman. Now he's like the best player on the biggest franchise in sports. I don't know what the fuck's happening.
You brought up a good point.
Aroldis Chapman gave up a run that one time and then never did it again. He's
good,
gross.
But you brought up a good point.
There's just zero consistency.
Terry Collins had his speech in 2016. Says, "You don't want to get after it up here. I'll go find some guys in AAA that will. That they want to get the opportunity." They said it back in 2016, and then we went on a playoff run, or a crazy run that ended in the wild card. But you also brought up another good point, and I think some of the reason why the Mets are seeing success in spite of their injuries, the thousands that there are, is because, and this doesn't always happen, sometimes injuries to key players just kill you. Like if you have an injury to Judge, knock on wood, it's going to kill you guys. So, or for us if it was somebody else. But what it does do, if you get the right-minded players and the right coaching in the system, it gives opportunities to other players to show their worth. And you either bringing up the young guys or you're starting that veteran depth who still want to prove to the league, the Brandon Drurys, the Jonathan VRs, the Kevin Pillars, the whomever, the Perazzas. Those are all playing, by the way. It's full starters on our team.
You know who's hitting recently? That I just got to throw this in here because you said Jonathan VR and you said Kevin Pillar, made me think of the Jays. Fucking not Mike Trout. Randall Grichuk.
He's doing really well.
The one who's taking him. Yeah, dude. He's got like 12 home runs or some shit.
He's on my fantasy team. I knew he was gonna have a year.
He's garbage. He's been bad for forever. We all make fun of him because they drafted him in front of Mike Trout, and now all of a sudden, guys have a good season.
He's having a good season.
Yeah.
I like him. I hope he continues to have a good season. I hope he's a Yankee killer, and I hope he just keeps hitting bombs because he's on my team. But I do want to go back to what I was saying. It could be for you guys. It could be for the Blue Jays. It could be for anybody. It could be the Dodgers. You have a good farm system with some of these good guys, and unfortunately, injury opens up an avenue for them. They get the opportunity to show their worth, and I'm not. It almost seems like we're like playing with borrowed time here, or we're playing with house money because we keep getting these performances, and it hasn't been really from pitching, but from players in the field that guys are stepping up that will not even be here in 2 weeks. So Khalil Lee came up; he couldn't hit a beach ball. But dude, this guy was making circus catches in the field that were robbing runs after runs after runs. This guy Billy McKinney, I don't know how long he's going to have with us. With if Nimmo comes back and all that stuff, dude, he's hitting the cover off the ball. Brandon Drury's not our starting third baseman. He's hitting and he's playing great defense. VR is only getting as much starting time as he is because McNeil's on the DL, on the IL. JD Davis on the IL, all that stuff, and Guillaume can't even play depth because he's on the IL. And VR is a fucking stud. He absolutely is going to be starting when these guys come back. He's earned it. So you get these guys that either it's the veterans who say, no, my career's not over, I got it still, or you have the young guys saying, hey, I deserve to be here. And it happens in basketball. First thing that comes to mind is like Emmanuel Quickly, right? He gets an opportunity and he's playing. He's going out there crazy. Or some of our veterans. Actually, the whole entire Knicks team. What am I talking about? That's literally a prime example. For you guys, you've had that in the past too. 2019 was an entire scripted year of that, of the Mike Fords and the Talkmans and the whomever else was hitting.
That's the worst trade they've made in recent history is the fucking Mike Talkman and the Giants for fucking pocket win, dude. Guy is even if he's not like an all-star caliber player, he deserves to be an everyday starter somewhere. And there's no reason the Yankees should just let him go for fucking nothing.
But think about how you stumbled upon a Talkman. He got the opportunity from someone being hurt. Mike Ford got the opportunity from someone being hurt. And these guys, sometimes they don't step up. Sometimes they're just straight up, hey, we are void of all talent. And sometimes it says, hey, we're here. I'm not going to get this opportunity, outside any other circumstance. I'm going to make the most of it. And what happens? Your team wins because of it. So that's what the Mets are going through now. It's going to be a great chapter in the storybook of the World Series for 2021. And I'm just excited, man.
Yeah, dude. The exact opposite over here, bro. We're just fucking struggling through this patch of fucking garbage. It feels like the only pitcher who's done anything of note recently is Domingo Germán, who started off with like a 6.5 ERA, has brought it all the way down to like a 3, which is right where we kind of thought he would be. And it's just brutal. There's just zero consistency day to day. At bat to at bat, between player to player, it doesn't matter. There's zero consistency at all. Where at least in past years we had like, LeMahieu's probably going to get on, and then there's a chance that we start the game off up 2-0 because Aaron Judge is going to hit a home run right behind him or something like that. Like that was genuinely something that we could count on. Was LeMahieu got on to lead off the game, and then Judge would either hit a double and knock him in, or put us in a good position, or hit a home run and make it a 2-0 game. There is just zero consistency whatsoever. We can't get anything going anywhere. People are hot, and then other people cool down to cataclysmic ice age proportions where they couldn't hit a beach ball. It's
you hit on it. The guy who needs to get you guys back up to what you guys were up, like where you guys are at, it's got to be that consistent play from DJ LeMahieu. He drove your offense last year. Not saying they needed all the damage. I'm saying he drove all that offense. He was the guy that not getting that key hit, or he was the guy that got it started. You knew what Judge was going to do. You knew he was going to put the ball in the fence, but it was what's happening around that, and that was DJ LeMahieu. So I think in times of struggle, you would think the guy who was more, better contact hitter is usually the guy that gets you guys out of that. For us, it was a Jeff McNeil a year or two ago. He's hurt, but it's usually that contact guy that gets you out of it, right? Because they get shit going. They keep things rolling, keep the chains moving. And DJ hasn't been there. He's starting to make that contract look like it's an even signing so far.
Yeah, dude, it's rough. You look at the team and all the players that you thought were going to be stars. You're looking at them. You're like where they're just not playing up to where they should be in any capacity. Obviously, the starting pitching was always going to be suspect, but we thought we could squeak by. It's still possible.
Labor might be overrated.
And yeah, dude, he's starting to hit better for sure. Yeah. As of recent, but like it's looking like a core of like we need LeMahieu, Judge, and Urshela to just go out there every day and just be those like grinders that set the pace, and then hopefully everybody else around that picks it up. Because good lord, are they?
Well, put it this way,
abysmal.
We got Subway Series is coming up and about soon, right?
Yeah, it's always July, right? Early July.
If I'm being honest, and I'm good on everything for what we went over, but I hope what I'm experiencing continues. I hope what you're experiencing continues. The Mets go up, the Yankees go down. And I'm really excited to see what the offseason looks like after basketball's over for the Knicks. And it's crazy. It has nothing to do with my team, but that Julio trade just has me excited for football. So,
dude, of course. Yeah, no, and I mean, you're definitely right. The NBA, like we said last episode, feels like the Knicks have turned it around, become a different team. They're not that, woe is me garbage franchise anymore. Could definitely bring a guy in. So obviously we're all hoping for that. Add a Dame, add a whoever leaves in free agency. I have no idea who else is there. Kawhi, yeah, bro, dude, you fucking do both of them. Yeah. Give me Kawhi, give me Dame, win the chip.
A man can dream.
Yeah.
But I'm good on that, man.
Yeah, that's all for us. Later.
Until next week.